Welcome back to 843 TV. We are at Spring Island. We're talking about the arts program out here. And Lark, we were talking a little bit off camera about how the arts program is now kind of the primary amenity that's included out here at Spring Island. It used to be all volunteer-based, and you were part of that volunteer
It was.
team.
The program has grown so much. There is so many moving parts to it now that we realized that we needed to make it an official amenity of the club. It was originally part of the Spring Island Trust, and the growth has meant we needed a director, we needed people to be paid to do some of the things that all of us volunteers were doing.
Yeah, it could be a little overwhelming, I'm sure.
It was. At one time it was, but we are really happy to be part of the club now, and it has many benefits to us and certainly to the membership too. And it is important when John shows real estate. People ask, you know. Right, John?
They do. It's the biggest differentiator that we have because no one really has a program like this. We have developers that come from all over the country that are looking at Spring Island because, you know, what are you doing here? I mean, we're really the gold standard when it comes to wide range of amenities. And, you know, we're lucky because we've got the land, we have the facilities. I mean, this is an old quail hatchery that we converted to an art barn. And I know that you're really involved with everything. I mean, it's incredible that, can you tell us about some of the groups and the committees?
Yeah, actually, and you're right, I've gotten involved in everything. I originally started out taking classes in almost everything when we first moved here because we've been here 11 years and I was newly retired and not sure. And ultimately I decided that clay was my medium, and so I'm a ceramics person really now in a total focus. But all along, because the program has been growing, I've been really involved in various aspects of it, including all these volunteer things. But now, under Bobby's auspices as the Arts Committee, I work on something that's called the Creative Groups, and I'm chair of that. And we have various groups on the island who are people who have an interest, a similar interest, like our metal workers. And I help give them kind of support and guidance and communicate with them. And also, I'm on the selection committee, and that selection committee chooses the artists who come to the island, but whether they're teaching or whether they are here as artists in residence. And so I am helping make sure that the artists that we choose meet the needs of our various groups, you know, things they want to learn about. So that works out really well. And we now have groups. We have a large painters group. We have a very enthusiastic clay group, which is this art barn right now is full of their work because we've been in classes. We have a wonderful photography group. We have a jewelry making group that does wonderful work. And then we have the metalworking group. And we've recently, because we also have these other groups that are kind of very loosely formed, and so we've created a new creative group called the Potpourri, and that's basket makers, it's woodworkers, it's needle workers, it's all those things that kind of haven't fit into the other areas. So it's worked really well for us, and as a result, lots of people really interact and
there's this camaraderie that I mentioned earlier that ends up, you know, people who aren't really initially interested in maybe ceramics, they might be doing metalworking, but then they think, well, somebody I met in the metalworking group is also doing ceramics. I think I'll go and do ceramics. And they find out they really like that. And one of the things that's interesting to me is people, well, for instance, a lot like Lark did, they take a lot of different classes to start with, and then they select one that they really like. But I know of at least a few that are still taking 3 or 4 on a regular basis and occupying their time. So it's interesting that it appeals to all different levels, basically.
Well, what did you do before you came here?
Oh, I was a financial advisor for a brokerage firm.
So you weren't involved in the arts?
No, my mother was an artist, so I did do a very little bit of artwork, but of course I was busy making a career. So I really didn't have time for it, nothing like I, you know, could devote after I retired. So, and I think that's true of a lot of people. The careers that they were in are not what they're doing now.
Right, and I think that's really what they want. You know, most of us have worked our whole life, and now we want to do something different. And it's fun to be involved in something creative and to be able to see that something comes from what you're doing. And sometimes it might not look exactly like you want it to, and that's the challenge. And other times it looks a lot better. And I know a gentleman that's in the ceramics group, and he got in and really didn't know what it was going to be like or anything else, and he loves it now. And he was really good at it, and he had no previous experience. So I think that's what happens to a lot of us. You know.
Isn't that a wonderful thing when all of a sudden you have the time, you have the money, you have the place and the support to do something like that, and you can just rediscover yourself. And that's really...
Absolutely. Lifelong learning. We talked about the lifelong learning and exploring your creative side, I always say.
And it feeds off because of all these opportunities we have to show, like this Coastal Discovery Museum event that's coming up. That's March and April, and all of our artists get to participate, those that want to. And it happened quite by accident because the head of our painters group was sort of saying, wait a minute, we need to look around for some other places to show off island.
Yep.
And he went to Pam, our arts director, and she says, I think I know somebody who can help us out. That led to the Coastal Discovery thing, and the person there, whose name is Natalie Hefter, she was very excited about it because she said the message from both of these organizations is kind of the same. It's nature and arts. And so when that show comes up, the planning is already in place, and it will showcase for both the Coastal Discovery Museum and for us how unique our environment is, and you know how we do have nature and arts very actively part of the community.
Yeah, they're all just woven together.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I think that's one of the great things about Spring Island is you really have an opportunity. Whether you're a photographer, there's all kinds of things to photograph here, from the scenery to the animals to butterflies, dragonflies, macro photography. If obviously have a great facility for the ceramics work. We have a great facility for the metalworking location. So all these different crafts or I should say arts are available because of the facilities that we have here on Spring Island. You might not have that, for instance, if you lived in the city or if you were in a different location, but it's made available because of the type of place we live in here.
Well, I think the neat thing is that you don't have to travel somewhere. You don't have to walk into a room with a bunch of strangers. And I mean, you're in a supportive environment the whole way, so that fosters
it fosters a lot of collaboration, too.
It does.
And you can walk right out your back door and do most of it, John.
Yeah.
Or take your golf cart over here and enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if y'all wouldn't mind sticking around for one more segment, we'd love to talk a little bit more with you about the arts program and some of the other amenities at Spring Island. So we hope you stick around for one more segment of 843 TV.